Hi everyone, this is Neil. So, what we're going to do this week is we're going to work on really understanding what is the starting situation of your project. Hopefully, by now, you've got to the point where we've really done the top line. We've done the green line at the top here. You've all identified a good question, you've related it to your values, and you've thought about all the ethical considerations because that's what we did last week. What we're moving on to now is looking at the red line, because if you look down to the blue line, which is the third line down, that's where you actually get into starting the project itself. So we're in the final phase now in the red line of getting everything lined up so the project is really well conceived, well formulated, well planned, and then you're ready to actually put it into practice. It's really important to get the planning stage right, obviously, because you don't want to be wasting. It's very easy to waste a lot of time on projects like these and go off half cock and do a bunch of stuff, and then suddenly think, oh, actually, do you know what? I'm not really sure why I was doing that. I'm not really sure what I was looking for, and you can just waste a lot of time. So time invested now in really thinking about what you're going to do and getting very clear about your purpose and your intention is going to be really, really important. So we're in the red row. And what we're going to do, the red row is two things. It's checking out your starting situation and it's deciding, okay, what's the first thing I'm going to do? So what we're starting with this week is just checking out the starting situation. Having done that, then we'll move on to deciding the first action next time, and then your plan will be complete. So, you have a project called, which is entitled, How Do I Improve? Dot dot dot. And in this stage of developing your project, you have two intentions. The first intention is that if you want to know at the end of the project whether there actually has been an improvement or not, you need to be really clear what your starting point is. So you've got some kind of baseline measurements so that, at the end of this academic year, when you've made whatever changes you've made and you've assessed what's happened, you've got some baseline to assess them against. So you can genuinely say, yes, actually, there's been an improvement, and there's been an improvement in this way. Or, no, unfortunately, it didn't really work out because X, Y, and Z, that's still happening. It's fine either way, it doesn't really matter. But that you need to know where you were starting from so you've got a baseline. The other thing is, chances are there's lots of different things you could do to help improve the situation that you want to improve or to help deal with the problem you want to deal with. So the more you find out right now about what's really going on in your starting situation, the more you understand that as thoroughly as possible, the better informed you're going to be about deciding which of the many different things you could do is likely to be the most effective thing to do and why. So just relating this back to slides that I showed in the 2-day intensive, um, there are two aspects to research and action research, and the first is about being able to act in an informed way. And the question that leads to at this point, and this is one of the questions on your planning form, the first of the two research questions on your planning form is, okay, what do you need to find out now? And how are you going to find this out? Okay, how might your situation look to other people right now? And you remember when we're thinking about researching our own practice, we're trying to triangulate, we're trying to think about three different perceptions. We're trying to think about the I perception, the you perception, and the them perception. And these are just different positions, different kind of lenses or angles, if you like, for thinking about yourself and your work. So there's the I, there's the you, and there's the them. So the I position is what you know from your own observations, your own experience, and your own analysis. And it's really important. I mean, yes, obviously this is just an entirely subjective position, but it's one of the three ways that you look at what's going on, and it's really important. So what I suggest you do from the I position for the next couple of weeks is this. Just observe when your problem or the thing that you want to improve crops up. Don't try and change it yet. All you're trying to do is you're trying to understand it more deeply and begin to notice if there are particular situations or particular patterns that are worthy of your attention. So if there's something you want to improve, just notice over the next 2 weeks so that this becomes sort of more objective, it becomes an object of your inquiry. When are the occasions when this thing that is in want of improvement, when does it tend to rear its head? And you might hopefully begin to notice certain patterns. Now, this is going to be very contextually specific according to what you're looking into. But you might find, for example, that it's more of a problem in one class than in another class. And then that will then begin to lead you into some thinking about, oh, well, why is that then? And what might that tell me about what I need to do? Or you might find there are certain trigger situations where the problem becomes quite acute, but other situations where it never is a problem. So you're just trying to observe when it turns up, this problem or this thing you want to improve, and then just log them. What I tend to do is just make a little log as I go along. And as I say, I'm not trying to change anything right now. I'm just trying to understand what's going on. Um, and in your log go, at the end of the day, oh yeah, actually it was a real problem in that class. And just jot down anything that feels significant about what was going on at the time. When did it arise? What seemed to make the problem come up? Um, blah blah. It's also really, and I would spend a good week noticing when the problem or the thing you want to improve arises. I would then spend the second week noticing, just right now before you change anything, noticing when it doesn't arise as a problem. Oh, I went all the way through that class. It didn't happen at all. It wasn't a problem. It was all fine. So week one, notice times when it does crop up. Note down anything that seems too significant about why it's cropping up, what was going on. Week two, note down occasions when it just didn't crop up at all. And again, similarly, note down any thoughts about, oh, well, what was going on there that maybe meant that it didn't happen. So that's a really good way of, from the I position, learning more right now about what's going on in terms of this area you want to improve. The second area, then, the U position. The U position is basically finding out directly from other people who've directly experienced the same teaching and classes as you what their perspectives are about what's going on. Really, what you're looking at here probably are going to be three things. You're going to be looking at getting feedback from students. You might think there's a particular problem in a class or something that needs improving. Do they think the same thing? Do they experience it in the same way as you, or do they not? So this is where you want to sit down and talk to some students, or think about a little few questions you can ask them. Very little short questionnaire. Nothing big or long or heavy at this point. All you're trying to do is really see, what does this look like from my students' perspectives as well as my own. You can also do it with another teacher, so a peer on the PG Cert. Pal up with someone else who's doing an action research project as well. Go in and watch each other's lessons and see what you see. Or then an observer, a PG Cert observer, a college observer, and ask for specific feedback relating to the situation that you're going to explore for your action research project. So in that way, you're just getting other people's opinions about what's going on, and you're not relying purely on your own. And the third position, the then position, essentially is reading and research. It's what do we know from other people who've worked in this area, that might help us understand what's going on for ourselves. Quite a good approach here is, I don't know, say you wanted to work on improving your questioning in the classroom. Well, who's written really good stuff on how do I do questioning in the classroom really effectively? Because if you see a model of really good practice, that'll tell you, probably highlight for you, well, A, it'll give you some suggestions of what to do because you've now got a model of really good practice. And B, when you look at what's happening in your class right now, very kind of honestly but kindly, it's not about beating yourself up. If you honestly but kindly look at what's going on now in comparison to that model of good practice, you might notice, do you know what? Specifically, that's the bit that's missing. So it'll give you ideas of where you need to pay your attention. And you need all three. So you need to know your perspective, the perspective of other people directly involved, and things that you can go away and read and research in order to become more informed about the specific area you want to work in. Okay? So there are a number of key questions you need to ask yourself at this point. First of all, just what do I need to find out? I mean, again, and this goes back to what I said earlier on, you can spend lots of time on this stuff and it's not necessarily time very well spent. So before you start trying to find anything out, just what specifically do you think you most need to find out? Ask yourself that. Then in terms of the you position, right, who do you need to talk to? Some specific students, some specific other tutors, whatever, and then you need a plan for doing this. How are you going to have those conversations, preferably before the end of this term, okay? Then the other thing you need to think about is, okay, what reading resources are available to me? How can I get myself better informed and begin to get some real ideas and understanding of the area I want to improve through what other people have been writing and saying about this and their ideas and research. So you need to start building your reading list now. And I think at this point you want to be looking for 10 items, okay, minimum. You don't need to read them all right now. You just need to find them and have at least a skim through them so that you're aware of what's there. And then over the next few weeks, we'll start actually digging into that reading and doing it and and using it both to inform your research, inform your project, but also support you as a professional. So you need to go away and start finding some good things that are going to be really supportive um, around your own project. And that bit's really important, because then when you start acting and start coming up with ideas and trying your 3 cycles of trying stuff out, each cycle needs to show that you've come up with that action in as well informed a way as possible. And being well informed means it comes from your own thinking about your own practice, but it comes from other people's thinking as well. It's not reading for the sake of reading. It's not reading for the sake of being academic or clever or fancy or any of that stuff. This is just reading so that your decision making is as well informed and well founded as possible. Okay. If you're not used to doing a literature search, and this is all very very new and a bit alien to you, then here are some places to start looking for good resources. First of all, have a look through the PG Cert course bibliography. So on the blogs, on the course admin page, the fixed page, click on that and just scroll down, and you will see that the 2015 PG Cert course bibliography is there. It's really extensive. If you have a look through, chances are there are going to be some books in there which are clearly related to the topic or area you want to research. So that would be a really good starting point. I'm trying to kind of build these up in terms of which are the simplest places to start. The other place to start is to go back to Biggs and Tang and Hattie, the core texts that we've already been reading. Use the index, find the bits in their texts where they're writing about the topic that you're interested in, and the chances are they may very well have referred to other work there themselves. It's really good, start with the most recent work and then see what they've been referring to, and then you can easily begin to find a thread back to the things that most people have found most useful to read in this area. So Biggs and Tang and Hattie, who have they been citing? Who have they been using to support their own ideas and arguments? That will point you in a useful direction. There's a fantastic free online resource called the Directory of Online Access Journals, and you can find it at this URL, doaj.org. It's got loads of different journals and things which are all in the social science, and well, mainly in the social sciences. If you have a look at that, there are 2 ways you can have a little search there. You'll see that you can enter search terms. So if you're interested in, I don't know, peer assessment, literally just write in peer assessment or peer assessment in higher education, press search, see what it comes up with. There'll be a bunch of stuff that won't be of interest to you, and you'll have to skim through it. What will come up is the titles of journal articles mainly. But you'll see 1 or 2 things that look interesting. Click on the link. You'll be able to read the abstract. The abstract is just the short summary of what that article was about. If that looks interesting and important, download the full PDF. Don't have to read it right now, but you're just trying to capture things that look interesting and relevant for what you've been doing. Another way you can track down this kind of stuff is going to Google Scholar. But the difference is that DOAJ, everything that they list, you will be able to read the full thing. Google Scholar, you won't necessarily be able to read the full thing. And then the most complex way you're going to be able to do this, and you will have to do this at some point, is engaging with the University of Sussex Library. Right now, we're just finalising getting you all logins to the electronic library at Sussex. You don't actually have to go and visit the place. You can use it virtually, and they will have a whole bunch of different databases and journal databases that you're going to be able to search. And again, what you'll be doing is either skimming through the list of journals they've got and going, oh, that specific journal looks like that's really relevant to me. The Journal of Assessment, right? I'm interested in peer assessment. There's this thing called the Journal of Assessment. Let's have a little flick through the last sort of 4 or 5 years of that journal. There'll be like 2 or 3 copies a year. It won't take long. Quick scan down all the list of things that have been written over the last 4 or 5 years in the Journal of Assessment. Oh, great, look, there's 3 things that are on peer assessment. Bingo, download the PDFs of those. Or you can put in your general search area, and then it'll throw up whatever it's got. So those are just the most straightforward ways of starting a literature search. And as I say, all you're trying to do right now is find 10 things, a dozen things that are clearly going to be relevant and helpful for you to help you find out more about the particular area you want to improve in. Okay, so that will definitely keep you out of mischief for the next week or so. See you later. Bye.